Hi friends, happy Friday. You all did amazing this week. I'm so proud of you. Keep up the great work, and it's almost time for the weekend. So today for science, we are going to be putting everything we've been talking about this week into the water cycle, putting it all together, one big cycle. And a cycle means it just kind of keeps going around. We've talked about cycles. We talked about life cycles of a plant, of animals, humans. Everything has a life cycle, friends. It just goes around and around. So this is the water cycle. So it's how the water just keeps going around and around in a cycle. All right, so I have a picture. We're going to talk about it, each step. And by the end of the lesson, after your Nearpod and everything, the goal is to be able to identify the different parts of the water cycle. So let's get started. So we have here, I'm going to put myself down here. We have here, we have our water cycle, the water cycle. We have everything that we have talked about all week. So we've talked about evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and there's even another part that we're going to discuss briefly that's not even on this page, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit. And this is putting it all together now. So to review, let's review evaporation. Remember, a liquid to a gas. Remember, the sun is beating down on it and the water vapor is rising and rising into the sky. We have condensation. Remember, that is when the gas turns to a liquid. It's the opposite of evaporation. Evaporation, liquid to gas. Condensation, gas to liquid. Okay, then we have precipitation over here. Remember, that's the water falling from the clouds. Simple. So now let's talk about the actual water cycle a little bit more. So you have, let's say, an ocean or a lake or a stream or some type of body of water. This is not a puddle. A puddle would work, but in this case, this is too big for a puddle. And the sun, let's pretend he's up here. It's hard to see him because Happy Learning is up here, but he's shining down on the water. And he's so hot, all of his rays, we all know, we've all been out in the sun. It gets super hot. You have to be safe with it. And the water is evaporating. That means it's turning into a gas, also known as water vapor. And I know I said it's hard to see sometimes, but for the sake of this picture, they show you what looks like steam. They're showing you the water vapor. Sometimes you can see it, friends. I'm not going to lie. But most of the time, it's hard to see. So, we have the water vapor going up, 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 up into the sky. And remember, it's getting colder up here. Okay, as you get further away from the sun and where the sun is shining, it gets colder. So now that water vapor will begin to condense. It will begin to turn back into water. So once it gets up here in the condensation zone, now it's turning back into water. And all those water droplets that are also turning into ice are coming together and they're going to make the clouds. And that's why up here in condensation we have clouds. This is where the clouds are formed. So evaporation, the water is turned into gas. The gas goes all the way up. And then a whole bunch of it gets together. It turns back to water and freezes in ice. And they make a fluffy cloud. Okay, now we have our clouds. And they're up there and they're getting bigger and heavier. And eventually they turn gray. And that means it's going to begin to rain or snow, but in this case it's raining. That's our precipitation, the rain. So the rain hits the ground. Now this part right here, all this water, follow my word, not the rain, but behind it right here is called a runoff. Now the runoff just means that the water that was up here on top of this mountain or this hill is just running downhill. It's running off the mountain back into the ocean or the lake or the stream or a puddle, whatever body of water you have. So It goes down, the runoff, whoop, whoop, into here. But the real three main important, friends, are evaporation, condensation, precipitation. So evaporation, the water turns to a gas, the water vapor. Condensation, they turn back to a liquid, they come together, they form clouds. Precipitation, the clouds get very heavy and the water has to fall down. All right, friends, and that's our water cycle. And it goes back down into the ground and does it all over again. Every day, all day. All right, so 3 parts of a water cycle that we need to remember. I want you to remember, my friends. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation. And if you can remember runoff, amazing. That's just it running down the hill back into the body of water. All right, see you in your pod, and then have an amazing weekend. Bye, friends.